Hello, everybody. Welcome to CoinFund Q&A. Today we have Props Project by YouNow, Adi Seidman, and Peter Watts. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Jake.
So very exciting CoinFund Q&A today. Might even do a demo. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit about YouNow and kind of a little bit of your history and then how you got into blockchain technology and what you're doing now with it?
Sure. Thanks for having us, Jake. So we have been running, we're mobile video guys, been running YouNow for the past 6 years. And 3 years ago, we introduced a virtual economy into our video platform. And immediately, it was a smash success in a sense that we never imagined that so many people on social video, on live streaming, would be interested to buy into a virtual currency that we invented and to use it in order to communicate, gift, make people trend, and have extra powers within that entertainment and communication world. And so today, 3 years after that, we have not just millions of users, but millions of dollars each month purchased in that virtual currency. There's a non-cryptocurrency that saw an opportunity to improve the service for our users in terms of their ability to do more with the currency and not limited to just the in-game experience. And so we built an ecosystem. We've been working on it over the past year. We call it Props by YouNow. And that ecosystem is it's a decentralized economy for video applications. We're going to be launching the first video app called Rise, which in itself is a platform that can be extended by developers to introduce additional use cases in video where people can communicate and interact through video through social games, reality shows, live streaming, trivia, et cetera, or even just one-on-one communication. We're really excited about that. That's Props by YouNow, and that's a little bit of how we got here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And Peter, what are you, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at YouNow as well?
Yeah, so I'm the platform lead, and I kind of work on a lot of the crypto-related product integrations that we're doing. So in particular, one of the really interesting challenges we have of introducing crypto to a mainstream audience where a lot of them have never even heard of crypto or blockchain. They've heard of Bitcoin. I think a lot of people have heard of Bitcoin, and that's kind of where it ends. So we have like an exciting but also daunting challenge of introducing these people to crypto. So I'm focused on a lot of the things like the wallet that we're creating and figuring out ways to keep that easy to use but also secure, and how people, how we're explaining how they're earning in this cryptocurrency and walking them through that. So that's more or less what I spend my time looking at, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and to make it simple, Peter and the team have come up with a system of two currencies. One is an in-game currency and the other is a cryptocurrency. And the combination and interaction between them not only allows us to build a stronger economy faster, but also obfuscates the crypto speed bumps for 95% of the users and slowly introducing them to crypto as they advance through the platform.
So let's take a step back a bit and talk a little bit about live streaming in general. You guys have been doing it for a long time, but not everyone might be familiar with sort of the applications and market around live streaming. So can you talk a little bit about live streaming, like who does it, why do they do it, and what is the sort of the size of that market and the opportunity there?
Sure. So first of all, live streaming started in China about 7 or 8 years ago as a desktop app experience where people, general population, could express themselves through media, in this case, broadcasting themselves live. In 2011, we introduced it in the United States, and we were the first mobile app to allow people to stream from their devices. And this has since become a big business where you see big players like YouTube Live and Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitter's Periscope, and others Really, this is table stakes today for any social media to allow users to go live in real time and communicate to their friends, family, and fans. And when you get to the fans, that's where it becomes exciting, because so many of these social media influencers are finding live streaming as a medium for them to get in touch with their fans, constituents, interact with them, stay close with them, get feedback from them, do virtual meet and greets, and you see a lot of that. But what you see also are brands and media companies like Huffington Post, who have a weekly show on YouNow, or like iHeartRadio, who does contests with their users on YouNow, or like America's Got Talent, who do auditions on YouNow live streaming. And you know, when you dig deeper into the media world, you understand that you know, the incumbents, the big linear traditional media companies, they look at Snapchat, they look at what's happening with video on the mobile, and they're asking themselves, okay, you know, we see our TV ratings declining, we see the limits with advertising, and here is a new medium, a new format, a new business model, and how are we going to play in that? And so it's no coincidence that you know, NBC's America's Got Talent is doing auditions on the mobile phones. We're going to see more and more of that. We're going to see more and more interactive reality shows. You know, if I want to play Family Feud, I should be able to click on my app and have that experience. And so all that and more is coming. And what we're doing with Props is really creating the technology and the platform and the ecosystem to allow for rapid development of any type of interactive video experiences with a built-in business model that is powered by crypto.
Got it. So it doesn't sound like live streaming is a fad. It sounds like it's a trend that's growing. It's being adopted by kind of major media companies. Like, would you say that's correct? Do you see that in the future there's almost like not going to be television, but instead people will be personal broadcasting everything all the time?
So I think that live streaming is this one thing that everybody recognizes as the broadcaster here and the chat coming in here, similar to what we're doing right now. And it's terrific, but it also has its limitations. And the limitations are, we are not playing cards right now. And we are not engaged in a social game that we want right now. And we can't click a button and get a random audience member up on the screen. And as a matter of fact, we can't even see the people who are watching us right now, and we don't know who they are. And so there's a lot of limitations to live streaming. And you know, as the folks who take a lot of pride in inventing live streaming in the United States, we have put our heads together over the past year to come up with the next generation platform that will allow communication for consumers from their mobile device on video. Because everything that you can be doing in real time here, you should be able to do from, you know, through digital channels. And that's exactly why we developed this open platform where any developer can decide what is the logic of the interaction between these video objects and bring rapidly new experiences to video interaction.
Got it. So I want to dig into the digital economy aspect of this, but before we do that, you know, you mentioned advertisers. So let's talk a little bit about, like, how do influencers and broadcasters who do this more or less full-time or for a living or half-time even, right? How do they generate revenue and value for themselves today?
The model and the gold standard has been YouTube. And so YouTube pays a percentage of the ad revenues, and it's anywhere between 50 and 40% that they take as a cut and that they give the creator. On you know, the live platform that we invented, YouNow, we introduced for the first time micropayments. And if you look at the statistics and if you look at the data, per user per hour, advertising is something like 5 or 8 cents generating, and micropayments is 50 cents. And so I'm familiar with those numbers, not just because Mary Meeker just published them a few months ago, but also those are the numbers that we see on our platform. And so microtransactions are, 8 to 10 times more lucrative as a business model than just general advertising that also happens to degrade the experience for everyone. And so we have developed a very strong economy. We actually published in our white paper the revenues over the past 4 or 5 quarters. With props, we are going to turbocharge it, because what cryptocurrency allows us to do is to better reward users who participate, better reward content creators, better reward developers for their contribution to the network, and do that in a way that's not only equitable and transparent, but also not to take that tax that YouTube and Facebook and Snapchat are taking, which is a major advantage, and to harness the contributors to the network, the content creators, the developers, the curators, and even the users who are sending and receiving likes and gifts as stakeholders in the platform who have an interest to continue to build it. And that's what we've heard from our creators over the years, is they really want a stake in the platform. Now we have an opportunity to get it done.
Awesome. So to summarize, on YouTube, basically revenue is generated through ads. That almost like half of that goes to the company, and I think even more than that, there's a certain standard of followers that you even, in order to even participate in this program, you have to reach. And so, I'm sure getting to that standard, I don't know how many users exactly it is, but I'm sure that's pretty onerous, and actually cuts out, that opportunity for, probably the majority of the population. What you guys have been doing at YouNow for the last, number of years, very successfully, is that you've been able to go to a different monetization model where micropayments, and this comes in the form of users purchasing emojis and in-game currency, and then sending those micropayments to broadcasters. Is that a correct description?
Yeah, that's correct. And microtransactions allow us, as you say, not just to provide value and payment to the top 1% of the users on the platform, but to any user. And if you think about it, who is building the network? It's the person who tweets and invites 16 people. Well, we know mathematically and algorithmically exactly how valuable those 16 new members of the community are to the network. And that person will receive a push notification telling them, congratulations, you have received, 4.5 tokens for your efforts and for your contribution to the network. And that's happening every day on the network in real time. And so we can assess the value not just of a content creator who is generating a lot of virtual gifts and a lot of virtual coin purchases, but any user on the platform who participates and contributes, and of course developers. And we're really excited. One of the most exciting things is to see the developers who are writing in to us from our website, propsproject.com, and telling us about what they want to develop on the Props platform. And the reality is that any kind of experience and any kind of game and any kind of interaction that we have in real time, whether it's a concert, a reality show, a game show, a social card game, you can develop on this platform, and we provide the technology, we provide the distribution, and the ecosystem, the business model that is built in Props.
Got it. So there's a platform which is called the Props platform, and that's going to be built around a cryptocurrency. And you guys are also launching, the first application in that platform, which is called Rise. And Rise has these features where, not only there's a much richer set of ways that both broadcasters and people in the audience can interact, right? So one of the interesting things that I really like about this idea is that why should broadcasting be kind of a linear, one-to-many experience. Usually it's the one person broadcasting to a large number of people. And like you're saying, now, not only can you have multiple people sort of up on stage, like in a debate format or in a game format, you can actually also have the audience members be on live video as well. And so this I think totally changes the game of how audiences have interacted with live streaming so far. And it also suggests a question about some of the technicals there, right? So Peter, I know you guys have been working on some very interesting technology that actually enables this functionality. Can you talk a little bit about many-to-many technology?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like, as Adi was saying earlier, the very traditional live streaming is this one-to-many, and you also, at the same time, have some interesting things happening around group video. With this is few to few people talking amongst friends, but lots of people are on stage and they can all talk and interact with each other. And what we started experimenting with like a few years ago was the ability to have two people on stage, to have a guest broadcaster, and be able to pull someone out of the audience or have two influencers talking amongst each other. And we found that people were using that in really creative ways, like running their own sort of game shows and reality TV shows sort of things, and bringing fans up and having America's Got Talent to auditions. And so we started to think about how we can take that to the next level. And so we developed this technology where basically everyone is live, and really trying to get closer to this point of imitating this real world experience where you come into a room, you're seeing other people, you can talk to them, there's a stage there, some people are on stage, you're watching those people on stage. You can also have a private conversation with a friend of yours. And we've designed it in this way where it's very modular. And what we're really excited about, and going back to YouNow, we've always had people asking us to do different things like add voting buttons for America's Got Talent, or different games that they want to play. And so what we're trying to do is do it in a way where it's very open and can be sort of combined in anything created. And so we're going to be opening that up to developers, so that it's not just us trying to think of how it can be used, but anyone can do that. And it also just really opens the gates in terms of like who can be a creator. Like, you don't have to have this really large following and you're the star attraction. You can really start to have anyone kind of coming in and talking amongst each other and growing and becoming found. So it's definitely we've been working on this for a long time, and it's really exciting to have it coming out.
Yeah, and I just want to add that it's today on live streaming, less than 5% of the community members are on camera. Less than 5% of the community members can actually get a like, which is the basic currency of the social world. Not to mention a gift, not to mention to earn. Here on this new platform with this many-to-many technology, everybody's live all the time. Everybody's equal. And whether you're in the audience or on the stage or in your own room or in another room, you can interact and click on anybody, engage them based on the logic that the developer decides in that room. And one of the ways to look at it is actually a very practical approach to a virtual world. And we're going to see a demo in just a few minutes. VR is some years away from being on us all the time, and we're all holding our mobile devices today. Here is a portal into a virtual world where you can do any sort of interaction, whether it's a phone call or participating in a game or chatting with friends or doing auditions for America's Got Talent or participating in Christie's auction. Which is something that's actually happening today, and by the way, those auction houses, they're starting to accept crypto too. So it's a fascinating cross between what you can do with digital video and how you add the moving dollar and the moving token on top of that. It's proven in the data that these microtransactions are extremely lucrative. And we're fortunate to have introduced them to millions, and now with props, we look forward to introducing them to millions more.
Fantastic. So I can't wait to see the demo. But before we jump into that, I want to cover another aspect here. Peter, you mentioned developers and basically alluded to the the possibility for a set of developers to come into Rise and create all kinds of kind of custom experiences. So that's interesting from several points of view. The first point of view is, we've seen many different kind of applications, especially communication apps and media apps, which have developer platforms. And the problem with those application platforms is that there's usually like not a great way of incentivizing developers and also fairly compensating developers. And when we talk about cryptocurrency being integrated, suddenly we have this opportunity to provide fair value to the development effort, and actually grow those developer bases very effectively. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's two layers. For one, the currency props will be in ERC20 tokens. So there's a whole ecosystem around what people can develop with that, and the goal is that we'll be bootstrapping the ecosystem with all these users and creators who are holding this currency. But the second layer is within this Rise app that they're creating, and what we're offering is two things like you mentioned. For one, we'll have the user base, and we'll have an existing economy that they can plug directly into. And because this is an economy which is already generating revenue, and the essential, the way it will work is within this room, developers can build these custom experiences that broadcasters can use, and then based on the the amount of activity and metrics and revenue and all these things that are being generated through the tools that the developer created, then they'll also earn alongside the creators. So it's basically expanding, who can earn for the value that they're creating, and within Rise, trying to create something that will be very easy for people to sort of get started and hack on. And they may not have the ability to build all the infrastructure behind it, the many video, all this sort of stuff, but they may have an idea of how multiple people can be interacting through video. And we're actually sort of trying to lower that barrier to entry to create really interesting video experiences.
Excellent. Sorry, go ahead.
Adding to that, we are launching this with Props Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation that is dedicated to enhance the ecosystem. And 50% of the tokens that we're generating is going to that foundation. And part of the role of that foundation is logarithmically and algorithmically dish out rewards to those people and to those developers, content creators, individuals who contribute to them. So that's on top of the built-in model of the microtransactions, and as Peter mentioned, help to bootstrap that ecosystem over the first 10 to 12 years.
Awesome. Yeah, so we should definitely talk about the token supply, and let's do that in just 1 second. But I just want to drive home the point that given this large set of incentivized developers and given this application, there's a huge opportunity to create little mini apps, basically, right? Where it's not like you're just a comedian and you're broadcasting your show. You can actually implement a game that people can play in real time with each other on video. You can implement, like you mentioned, a real-time auction where all of the people in the audience are actually bidding, but not sitting in the same room. Can you guys talk a little bit more about some other use cases that you see will appear on Rise?
I'll tell you the one that I'm really passionate about, and I've used this example before. So, our chairman of the board, Oren Zeev, emailed me like 6 weeks ago, and with an article from The Information about the fact that 5 of the top apps in China right now are werewolves apps. And you ask yourself, what is werewolf? Werewolf, you may know it here in the States as Mafia Wars, where it's a social game that you play in a party, 5 to 10 people. You get cards. 2 of the cards are for killers, and then or werewolves, and then the villagers have to find out who they are through a conversation. And it actually lends itself perfectly to a social game, and it became on a mobile social game. And it became a huge hit in China, generating billions of dollars in revenue. And today there are dozens and dozens of clones of this game in China. And 5 of the top 10 apps are werewolf apps. And it makes sense because you come home, you don't have 5 or 10 friends next to you. You press a button, you get those friends online, and you're starting to play. And you pay extra to you know, get different roles in the game. Long story short, so our chairman asked me, will that be able to work on the new Props Rise platform? And the beauty of it is, yes, these are just different video objects. In this case, participants from all over the world. The developer can program the logic of the interaction, the virtual goods and what you can buy for them. In this case, you can buy the role of the sheriff or the role of the doctor who can save somebody who was killed, etc. And something that would take traditionally, you know, going to a VC, getting funded by $1 million or $2, developing it, developing the video technology to allow these interactions, developing the in and out economy around the virtual currency, and then finding a way to distribute it. All of a sudden, you're moving to a rapid deployment where the technology is provided, the distribution is provided, the business model, the ecosystem is provided. You're just deciding what is going to be the logic of interaction here, and you're able to launch something like that for, you know, a few $1,000s as opposed to a few $1 million and do it rapidly. And so I'm really excited about that because, you know, apps today take really huge efforts to do, and every idea that you have may not be great, but here is a place where you can rapidly bring experiences to the mass market.
That's really cool, and I really look forward to seeing some of the customizations that are developed, and hopefully someone out there will do one for CoinFund Q&A, so I can have founders and myself on screen at the same time, and maybe audience members asking questions live on video. That'd be like super cool.
The good news is that that's already built, and I'd love to show it to you in the demo.
Awesome. Let's do the demo, guys. Very exciting.
So Peter, maybe if you want to step out, and I will be in here, you'll be outside, and we will jump in.
All right, we're going to attempt live video of a Hangouts. I don't know how well all the audio will work out, but let's give it a shot. This one, right. So maybe I'll, can you see that, Jake? Oh. All right.
Okay, my sister called at exactly the right moment. And let's reconnect this, Peter. I think we're gonna need to reconnect this. Hey, Peter. This is fun. Let's do this. Let's close this. Let's come back here, and let's reconnect it. Sorry about that.
The call took over?
Yeah, the call took over.
Live demos.
You could. Here we are. And I'm going to drag my friend Dan onto the screen. Hi, Dan. How's it going? This is great. This is super cool. So let me drag also my buddy Ali G here. Hello, Ali G. Notice how fast the video is, and it's a many-to-many. So I can click on somebody in the audience. I'm seeing people in the audience. I can even give them gifts. Let me give some gifts here to Ali G. Guys, give me some gifts also because I want to earn some crypto. And there is my other buddy. What's up, Bikrant? How's it going? Oh, Dan is earning a lot. This is very cool. So as you can see, everybody is live in real time. And this is a many-to-many, real-time, unlimited user base platform. Let's see the experience of what it is to be in the audience. So why don't we go ahead and go into Guacamole's room. That's Dan right there. And I'll drag some people to chat with me in an audience group. So here we go. and we find guacamole. Okay, we're going to go to guacamole. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm here with my buddy Gokce. She's my friend, so we're automatically connecting. And with my friend Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen. How's it going? Awesome. And, you know, we can go ahead and interact. This can be watching a soccer game. This can be, you know, a game show where we can bid and get dragged onto the screen, etc. And the idea, again, is that everybody's live. I can click on anybody at any time. And based on some rules that the developer decided for this room, people can interact with each other. So maybe I can drag people who are not my friends, or maybe I can. Maybe they need to approve it. Maybe they don't. Maybe I can give them gifts. Maybe I don't, etc., etc. And so your QA can happen here, and your audience can be chatting about the program as it's happening in this specific use case.
That's very, very cool. And I'm sure Google Hangouts is not doing the frame rate justice on this bandwidth, but when you hold the app in your hand, like how fast and smooth is the video?
Yeah, and we are going to start doing live tests in the weeks ahead, and releasing it to the community more and more as we move forward with the project, and we're really excited about it. We're also going to invite a couple of YouTubers in here to test it and do videos about it, because we're really so proud about how fast it works. I had a reporter here last week, I have to tell you, and he came out of this room and shouted to my entire staff, "This is the best video app I've ever seen. It works so fast."
All right, guys, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that demo with us. And let's talk a little bit about the crypto economics of this. Let's talk about the tokens. Do you guys want to give us an overview about the props token, kind of what it does, and how you're planning to distribute the token?
Yeah, so the token, just to jump back to kind of what we were talking about earlier with this two-currency model, and the in-game virtual currency is the sort of one that allows you to really quickly, the mainstream users that may not understand cryptocurrency, to get involved, to start buying some of these virtual goods and start playing the game. And that fuels where we're essentially able to reward creators in this props token. And so the sort of the things that this unlocks, you know, one is payment, the other is status. Those token holders can influence the ranking of who's trending, you know, amongst the within the app, and expose, you know, new people that are coming up. Gives you access to new features. So, you know, whether it's unlocking some of the you know, more advanced functionality. So these are some of the things we're playing with around what the token unlocks within the application. And then in terms of how you get it, well, for one, you know, we're going to be having the token distribution coming up, which we can talk about. But the way it works within the app is that every day we're looking at who created the most value within the platform, and we're doing a daily reward where you earn the token directly within the app, and that gives you the status, and you can continue using it within the app, or you can take it out and hopefully in the future be using it within multiple apps.
So does that mean, Peter, that basically like anyone can come onto the platform, start broadcasting, start kind of vying for influencer status, and just immediately start earning tokens based on the audience response?
Yep.
That's exactly right. And even if they're not vying for influencer status, but they just invited, you know, their sister and their mother, guess what? You brought in 2 new registered users. There's a mathematical formula that's not very difficult to know the exact value of that. And you'll be getting a text notification within 24 hours telling you what share of the value you created for the network in that day in a complete transparent way, and how many tokens you've earned. And that kind of a token network effect has not been seen in any kind of a social networking situation. But I want to add to that, you know, part of the appeal is it's not just in you know, the compensation with the token, but the ability for the users who participate in it to have a personal stake in it and not to be taxed by the man. And I'll tell you this does not apply just for influencers and individual content creators. You know, Comcast is an investor in us. And, you know, they are excited about finding ways where they don't have to get a 50% tax to Facebook or to YouTube or to anywhere that they distribute their content, and to be distributing through platforms that are decentralized and do allow them to keep 100% or close to 100% of the value that they bring. And so this applies to any content creator and any IP owner.
Yeah, and this is you know, this is one of the, you know, most straightforward applications of blockchain technology as we study it at CoinFund, right? Where you're creating efficiencies kind of all along the stack, and the efficiency that you're referring to is that once you remove the middleman, which is the private company that is in charge of the distribution of this media, then suddenly you don't have to pay rent to a private company. I mean, you still have to pay for the operation of the network in the form of fees that go to, let's say, Ethereum miners, right? But suddenly the cost of doing that has dropped dramatically. And then on the user side, you have, you know, whereas we discussed in YouTube, you had to get to whatever it is, 10,000 followers. You're working for months and months and months without any compensation to just get a, you know, a broadcaster status where you can earn money on YouTube. Today, there's like, you've just basically reduced the friction to zero. Anyone can come in, start a broadcast, and immediately start gathering the value that they're creating, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we're excited to be aligned with our users who constitute the network. And we are all benefiting from the appreciation of the token. And our interests are completely aligned, which is very, very refreshing.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the token distribution event. And more specifically, I know if the folks watching read the Props Project white paper, they will note that this is not just about one single application. This is actually about a platform that third parties can come in and also use some of the decentralization features of the currency and the ecosystem around it. So can we talk a little bit about you know, how the token supply is going to be distributed and structured, and how that impacts kind of ecosystem partners?
Sure. And maybe I'll start, and Peter can jump in. So first of all, 50% of the entire token supply will sit in a nonprofit foundation whose main mission is to propagate adoption of the token, have programs for developers and media partners to participate. And those programs are already starting behind the scenes now. And to reward platforms and apps on the network who generate value to the network, literally on a daily basis. And so logarithmically and algorithmically over a period of years, those rewards are going to be handed out. Some of them in the form of grants for developers to start out on it, but most of them based on the mathematical contribution to the ecosystem. And so we're really excited about that 50% there. 20%, we're going to do a token generation event and put it in the hands of our users, both the millions of users on YouNow, the tens of millions of content creators out there on YouTube and Instagram and others, a few strategic media partners, and we're really excited to get that in the hands of the public to help start the network day one with the actual users who are going to be benefiting from this token and the network. And lastly, 30% is going to the company and our employees, the staff, the advisors, the legal advisors, and ICO costs, etc. And that is how the pie is being distributed right now.
Awesome. And you know, speaking of the company, would you guys kind of give everyone an overview, a little bit of your team and sort of how many people work for YouNow today, who's in technology and otherwise? And
sure. So I'll start by saying we're hiring. So if you're watching this and you're excited about blockchain technologies and about video and about what you heard here today, please contact us. And we're very fortunate to be working together for many years. So maybe you can see here behind us, that's our floor. We have about 40 people here in New York City in Times Square. More than half of them are product engineering and design. And then the rest are operations, currency operations. We have our own non-cryptocurrency today that we are managing at scale, and some trust and safety and content operations.
Fantastic. All right, guys, thank you very much for coming on. Now, where should folks watching go to learn more about this project, to get involved, and eventually, you know, if they're interested, to participate?
So propsproject.com, all the information is there. There's also some videos there with live demos of the platform in case you want to see more, and examples of use cases, and a deeper dive into the token use cases and the project. So we welcome you to also drop your email with us, and we'll keep you posted. We're publishing stuff all the time.
Fantastic. And you know, this is, I think this is great. You know, you guys being a fairly well-established company in the traditional consumer technology space, where you guys are continuing this trend of traditional consumer technology companies adopting and experimenting with blockchain technologies and different business models that are not based on advertising revenue, which I think is fantastic. I think you guys are pioneering this space, and you know, from what we see in the market today, this is gonna continue. Everybody, check out propsproject.com. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we let you go?
I was just gonna say, like, I think, you know, not only is it, you know, do we bring the, you know, existing business angle, but it's also, you know, we feel that it's very closely aligned. We've been running this economy for years with this virtual currency that we created, and we're really excited. We think it aligns really closely with cryptocurrency, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, we're not just bolting something on; it's very natural. So we're pretty excited about rolling it out.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. Thanks again, guys. Adi and Peter from YouNow, speaking about Props Project.
Thank you, Jake. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks, Jake.